Add excitement to your holidays with Ohio Lottery Holiday Scratch-Offs, including $1 holiday cash and $5 holiday lucky times 10, or Holiday Bonus Millions with a 200 times multiplier and a $2 million top prize. Plus, enjoy second chance drawings where you can win 10 times, 100 times, or 1,000 times the price of your ticket. Scratch-Offs make the perfect gift, and best of all, there's no wrapping required. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. Catch every moment of your team's playoff push with NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. You'll get amazing features like multi-view, and right now, it's only $49 for the rest of the NFL regular season. So give yourself the ultimate gift this holiday season. Get NFL Sunday Ticket for $49. Sign up now at youtube.com/Sunday Ticket. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Scouser Tommies on Anfield Index, a festive edition of the show this week. Not because it's one that we recorded in October, because we couldn't be we knew we'd not want to be bothered to be recording over Christmas. You can't do that with football, can you? Really, it's difficult to record stuff in advance, other than maybe over the summer, because you never know what's going to happen. And we could have sort of, who can predict what's going to happen with Liverpool? The way that they're playing, it seems like you can predict they're going to do well. Seems like you can't predict what's going to happen with new contracts. But all in all, it's not a bad time to be a Red. I'm, of course, as always, with Jay Reid. And I think there's one question, Jay. I mean, I just sort of touched on contracts then, but really there's one question I think on everyone's lips now around Liverpool, certainly any Red. And it's, are you all set for Christmas?
If you classify that as we record this at just gone 4:00 on the 23rd of December, I bought my last presents an hour ago. So yeah, I am now officially all done. However, I'm recording this, as you know, and the listeners will now know, I'm sat in the car, waiting for the dog to finish his grooming session because he must look clean for Christmas. However, that'll last for a day. Having quite a large dog and quite poor weather where we live. So yeah, if that is classified as being all set for Christmas, once he's out the groomers and he looks clean and, that lasts all of 24 hours, then that is probably being as set as I can be. In football terms, though, yeah, flying, smashing, trees up, we're on top, everything's going good.
Definitely. If you do wear any backgrounds, I know you've already moved once because there were kids playing footy, and not quite where I thought. I had visions of him like kicking the footy against the car and everything, but that's how it could have evolved anyway, isn't it, as we were talking. Also, if you hear any noise as well, it could be, there's definitely some last minute tidying up going on around me. I'm sure it's the same everywhere. In fact, if you're listening to this, you're probably, maybe you're sitting on headphones listening to it, trying to get out or doing some stuff. Who knows? But I hope you enjoy this. I hope whenever you're listening to it, whether it's before Christmas, after Christmas, or on Christmas Day with some fancy new headphones or whatever, that you're going to enjoy it. And you should do, because there's, as a Liverpool fan at least, because it's pretty much all good stuff we're going to talk about. Or pretty much, I say. Certainly on the field, but maybe we will come to the other stuff, because I think we will definitely get onto what people are sort of wanting for Christmas. And I think I don't know, as you get older, you always you ask for toys when you're younger, and as you get older, it starts being like you basically start asking for little bits of folded up paper, don't you? You're wanting some notes off people, some money, so you can go and buy your own stuff. And I think it's folded bits of paper that most Liverpool fans are going to want this season, this Christmas, but not as cash, as folded contracts that have been signed by the club and by 3 certain players. We'll see whether that happens, but I think one thing that underlined how important it is to get those is that without sort of singling out, it's almost wrong to just single out those 3 players because the whole team played well. But certainly in the case of Virgil and Mo, it's something we've seen all season. But that most recent game, Liverpool beat Spurs 6-3, and that almost makes it sound like it wasn't as one-sided a game as it really was. And in reality, I think what happened with Liverpool was that there was a moment where, Tottenham are the highest scoring side in the league at the moment. There was a moment, like a minute almost in the first half, where they had a chance to do something and did, and they got a goal back. Liverpool answered pretty quickly afterwards and got it back to 3-1. And then there was a spell in the second half, which I think Slot has spoken about in post-match interviews he's done, where Liverpool kind of sort of sat back. And I think if you can't sit back at 5-1 and think this job's done, then I'm not sure when you can. Obviously, Arne doesn't think you can. So I'm guessing that there's been some tellings off about that. But Jay, that was, to me, there's been some great Liverpool performances down the years, and we don't know where this season's going to take, because it does feel like at this moment in time, Liverpool top of the table for Christmas, all the rest of it feels like we're at the start of an amazing era. Of course, things can go wrong. There's a long way to go. But if we are at the start of an amazing era, I think when people are doing sort of highlight reels and stuff, there's going to be a lot from that game that they can take, because that was, if you even setting aside those 3 goals, that was an immense performance from front to back from Liverpool.
Yeah, I think, it's sort of reminded me of men against boys, or the bigger kids in the playground where they've left the football lying around while they've all maybe gone round the back for a smoke or something like that, and then the little kids are like, we've got the ball, let's have a little go, and then they just come back and say, give that back, that's our ball, we're playing, back in your corner, this is our pitch, we'll do what we want to do. And then, they maybe gone and grabbed a bag of crisps or a bar of chocolate, and then they come back out and they go, oh, we got the ball again, and they go, hey, what we tell you before, piss off, that's our ball, we're playing here. And that's basically what it was. We let our guard down a couple of times, and I think even McAllister post-match said that we scored 6, which was great, and not very often do you score 6, but we've left 3 in and we're not happy about it. So even in the immediate aftermath of the game and the post-match interviews, they've probably already had a slap on the wrist, and it's like, as much as the pass on the back was there from Arne Slot, he probably went, well, here's a pass on the back, but it's heavy-handed because you've left 3 in the back door. And when you actually think about it, they didn't actually have to do too much to get them 3 goals. It was all a little bit lackadaisical and a bit sloppy, and we let them have it. But then obviously as soon as we let them have it, we were like, well, we're taking it away from you as quickly as we've just given you that. And I was listening to Raw earlier on, and even you highlighted the fact that it was just a sense of when James Maddison scored at 2-1, it was 40-ish minutes or something like that. In any other game, in any other situation, especially in your home ground, if you've made it 2-1, you'd be like, come on, get the ball, G the bands up. And it was just more like, oh, they're going to go and do it to us again, aren't they? And he just sort of had that look of resignation about him, and you're like, yeah, we are, and we are. We're just going to go and do it in 5 minutes before half time. So, it was what I would probably call a statement performance in a way. It would have been more of a statement had we just, limited them to 1 in the back door. But it was a statement performance to go to their ground. And obviously we know they've got issues with injuries. We know we've got issues with, the way they play football is entertaining in a good and a bad way. But you've still got to go there, and you've still got to grasp the opportunity. You've still got to, make the most of the fact that they're going to let you play football as much as they want to try and play themselves. And if they are deemed as, a European contender for positions within the league, then, to swat them aside like that is a bit of a statement. And given results of late for us, where it was either they've had a bit of a wobble, they've dropped a couple of points at home and away in 2 games, and there was mitigating factors in both of them games. But when other teams then this weekend, and you think more likely, obviously, you look at Chelsea and City aren't dropping points anymore. City are just expected to lose. When Chelsea, the nearest team to us in the league and mathematically, and then they drop points, and we'll come on to how they drop points later on, before we play, to go out and do that away from home at a big sort of contender for places in the league of the top end of the league, that's a statement. And it was an emphatic performance, and it was more than fitting that we'd done it in that manner. And coming up to Christmas, to be comfortably sat at the top of the tree is always a nice thing to behold.
Yeah, we are. I don't know. We are the star at the top of the tree. A load of stars at the top of the tree, I suppose. You just mentioned about the game before that, and we haven't had a chance to talk on Scouser Tommies about that Liverpool-Fulham game. And I was thinking back to that. I did Raw after that, and it feels like a long time ago now, because this is what's happening in football. We've actually played a League Cup game since then, as well as playing the Tottenham game. But that game was played. Liverpool went behind after 11 minutes. It was at home as well. Fulham, you and I sat on the cot together, or stood on the cot together for that a year ago when it was the mad 4-3 game, and I had a feel like it could be that again this season. But with the other difference that Andy Robertson was sent off after 17 minutes. And that game in itself was one where Liverpool were just determined to win. It was a less of an Arne Slot type of game, in the sense that we were coming from behind and things, and we did that a lot more under Jurgen, I would say, certainly last season. But as you say, mitigating circumstances, it kind of gets forgotten that you just see a list of results, and you see 2-2, which followed the previous league game, which was 3-3 against Newcastle. And it kind of gets forgotten that Liverpool played that game all but the first 17 minutes with 10 men, arguably against 12, because the ref wasn't the best. It wasn't, I don't know, that's not a match that you're necessarily going to want to stick on the highlights reel at the end of the season in a great amount of detail, other than to say, it just says so much. That 6-3 says a lot, because Liverpool were just dominant, and apart from this the sort of stuff Ronnie Moran would have been fuming about in conceding 3, they were dominant. But in this 2-2 game as well, again, it's something about the character of the side, isn't it? I feel like it's a cliche when you say you can still come out of games and get a result even when you've not played well. I don't think it was a case of that with Liverpool against Fulham. Liverpool did play well, and considering, you were there at the game for that, considering they played against more men than they have themselves, let's say, whether you want to say 10v11 or 10v12, certainly watching it on TV, there were very few moments in that game where I ever really felt we were a man short. And the way that players stepped up as well when they were asked to play in different positions, that was, that was some performance from Liverpool as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, that game will probably be sort of, as you say, parked in the bank of, many games gone by. But, actually it'll probably be a significant game. When you always think of, like, Klopp always harp back to that West Brom draw early on, and it was more, he took the players to the Kop, and it got mocked by pretty much everyone in the football sphere. You just drew with West Brom. What are you doing taking your players to the Kop to thank the fans? It was more, obviously, as we all know, that the fans stuck with them that day, and they found a way to grind out the results. And it was how Klopp perceived that as a big important sort of mental note for the team and for the fan base in the club. And I think maybe Slot would look back on this performance at the end of the season or in a couple of years' time and be like, look, a lot went against us that day against Fulham, but we dug in, and the biggest compliment I think he can probably be paid is the fact that Fulham manager, players, whatever, all come out and said we didn't even notice that they had a man less before. It was equal teams, and it just shows, the amount of effort that the players who were asked, as you say, to play out of position, basically some of them were covering 2 positions at once. And, on another day, we win that game. We had a couple of chances at the end, and if the ball bounces right, if players maybe take a first time shot instead of taking a touch, maybe more on instinct or whatever, we were now 3-2 winners, and you think, Jesus, how the hell have we done that? But coming out of the ground that day, 2-2, you think it wasn't, we had a man sent off and we gone 2-2, we got away with that. It was 2-2. We bloody deserved it. It wasn't anything other than, a half-forward point. And I honestly think if we'd had 12 men that day, if we'd had 11 men that day, because it's not like we were playing 12 at times, as you say, 11v11, we probably would have beat them in the way that we were playing and the mood that we were in. Obviously, it's unfortunate, and you look back in hindsight, it was one of them red cards where, you've give the referee an easier decision to make than most. And when referees on the pitch are going to make a decision and he jumps to the red card pretty much straight away, it's very hard to get it overturned. And albeit, mitigating factors and perception, a lot of people in football will have looked at it and said, well, you think back, Harry Wilson, heavy touch, you didn't actually get onto it. He was never actually going to get onto the ball. Van Dijk was there. It rolled into him, and as the play went on, the advantage was sort of played, if you want to put it like that, and it wasn't taken. So realistically, and I'm thinking back here to yesterday, and, a sensible referee might have just went, all right, Robbo, yellow card, your last warning, I could have sent you there, but we're 16 minutes in, and, just calm yourself down, behave, because any more and you'll be off. And I think then, you would have seen a different performance from Robertson and whatever. And then fast forward that to yesterday, and you think of there was commentary of Gary Neville saying that was the easiest yellow card. I think it was Szoboszlai pulled back, or Bergvall pulled back someone, and he was like, that's the yellow card all day, the most consistent yellow card you'll see. And then Bergvall goes and does it again. And he crosses over to Mike D and he goes, given the situation of the game, Liverpool are well in front, there's 5 minutes to go. You just let them ones go. And literally, for once in my life, I'm sat there and Gary Neville was like, don't think so, Mike. That's not how it should be. Rules are rules, and it doesn't matter whether the game's 6-3 and 5 minutes left. It's a cynical foul. It's a yellow card as a yellow card is. He should be on his way, and he's going, nah, you just got to go with the festive. No, mate, it doesn't matter. So
it's how it gets done, is it? I mean, that's the thing. That would be great if we saw that happen all the time, because I'm sure it used to be in years gone by. You'd have a yellow, might have been a soft yellow, it might not have been. You come along, then you do something stupid, second yellow written all over it, but the ref goes, kind of pulls you to one side and just gives you the longest lecture you've had since you were at school, and sends you on your way. And then that you've got away with that one, because that's kind of how it works. It's almost like 2 yellows don't always make a red. Is that thing? And when it's consistent, then you don't mind. But
yeah,
it
I just say that's all you want. And I had a bit of anxiety yesterday about the fella in charge. Young referee. I think we've had them once before, and I actually remember the last podcast we recorded when I said, we had Tony Addington going into Fulham, a name that's not very household, but I remember the last time he had one of our games and he was very card happy, and, again, against Fulham, he was whipping the card out. Obviously, it's time for Christmas cards and whatever, but he thought it was time for yellow cards 2 minutes into the game, and he had no control. And even, Van Dijk come out and said, you could see he was nervous, his leg was shaking, he couldn't get his words out. It was too big an occasion. Maybe Fulham against Liverpool at the Cottage, with 20-odd thousand there, might have been a bit more, getting him into the groove of the Premier League. Yeah. But Saturday afternoon, under the lights at Anfield, he made a rod for his own back very early on. And then yesterday, I thought, it could be the same here. This guy, I've never really had any sort of inkling about what he was. And, he's clearly out to impress. I think it was mentioned he's been fast-tracked into the FIFA or UEFA sort of referee rankings already. So, is he the next Michael Oliver, or is he the next, Stuart Atwell or Paul Tierney, whatever? We time will tell. But, apart from that soft one there, but then again, if you're being consistent and saying, right, well, I'm going to let you roll, other than that, yesterday he was actually pretty decent, and it's not very often that we come on this show and any other podcast and say like the referee was decent, because usually they're not very decent at all. But
I reckon if Gary Neville hadn't asked that question, we might not have even mentioned the ref. Like if Gary Neville hadn't drawn attention to it, we'd have frustrating at the time, but we might not have even mentioned it today. He's only got attention because Gary Neville kind of drew attention to him, and Mike, the Tranmere fan, was like, making it clear that refs have their own rules.
Yeah, and even if he hadn't even gone to Mike and just said like, what's your opinion there? Mike's going, we let him off, in his classic Whittle accent. And I did like Gary Neville went away. That was a bit sketchy, and the adding across to Mike Dean, it would have been forgotten about it because it was, the comment from Mike Dean was like, that's one of them where we let that one roll. But like, you go, okay, well, if you're going to let it roll, then let it roll, as you say, across the board. Or you nail down the rules, and that's what you are. You're one or the other, and that's always been the gripe with referees and VAR. It's the inconsistency from game to game, from ref to ref, interpretations, and, there is certain rules that are rules, but the massive grey area is how one interprets it to another, and that's obviously then where you get a lot of the controversy. But yeah, I think we'll park the referee chat there because
we've had enough attention this year.
Yeah, it's the time for giving, and if he was giving Bergvall the one off there, then I suppose we can give them a rest now. They've had enough airtime on our podcast today.
Yeah, let's move on to something that's more fun, and that's silverware. Which
is it time to reimagine your future? The right business skills may make a difference in your career. At Capella University, we offer a relevant education that's designed to focus on what you need to know in the business world. We'll teach professional skills to help you pursue your goals, like business management, strategic planning, and effective communication. And you can apply these skills right away. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Way to eat a T. You're listening to an ad for PC Game Pass. Want new games on day one like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? How about living out your Sims life with EA Play? We're talking high-quality PC games all for one low monthly price. We got you. Learn more at xbox.com/PC Game Pass or click the banner. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle available December 9th, 2024. Game catalog varies by region and over time. Okay, that's the ad. You can go back to doing whatever you were doing now.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du noch?
If you've heard that sound from Babbel before, I bet you do. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel gets you on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. With over 16 million subscriptions sold and a 20-day money-back guarantee, just start speaking another language with Babbel. Right now, up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Spotify podcast. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify podcast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
And we're not really moving away from Tottenham with this conversation either, really, because Liverpool did progress in the Carabao Cup. I mean, after that game against Fulham, like 10 against 12, bearing in mind we're still we're still a side with hardly anyone fit. I mean, Jota came back in that game, and what a comeback that was. Maybe we should give him a bit more time for that as well. But it was clear to me that even if Slot was thinking of putting a fairly strong team out for the League Cup game, it was like, no, there's absolutely no way I'm doing that now after that game, because, playing so long with 10 men, as much as we said it was like we were still at 11, it was only because of how much effort they put in, and it was going to take its toll. So it felt inevitable that he was going to make those changes. And the changes he made, it was fine. Darwin and Harvey got the goals. Southampton did manage to get one back. It wasn't massively nervy. I know I was watching it on TV, and I watched some of it on TV. I was it was Christmas Do that day, and I'd actually left early. I wasn't feeling great, so I actually did see some of the match on TV. The way they were talking, though, was like, this is like, Southampton could get back into it. I never really felt it was massively under threat, and it was such a sort of second string lineup. It was. I mean, the Endo and some of the things we saw in that game, but it just shows how threadbare our squad still is. Even when players are playing, it's a risk that we're playing them for so long, because some of them are not. It's not going to do them any favours they could do with the rest. But what it did was it got us through, and of course the draw was made. And even before the weekend, I actually thought, when I was waiting for the draw to be made, I was thinking, I think I'd rather have Spurs out of who's left. And that's who we got. And they've actually announced, by the way, Wednesday, January the 8th will be the Anfield game. And Thursday, February the 6th will be the game down at that American football stadium in London that we played at yesterday. And they're both going to be 8 o'clock kickoffs. So, but that's the thing, we're just those couple of games away from another trip to Wembley. And I think, we haven't seen much of it under Slot, the sort of massive rotation type stuff. But I think, again, it just showed what he knew a side that he could put out for that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all of the opinion, the Carabao Cup was obviously more than bottom of anyone's priority list for what to win the season. But then, at the same time, everyone always says that, you get to this stage, like the semi-final stage now, go on and win it.
Yeah.
Because, you've done the work that's necessary, and we've been very smart in how we've done it. At that game against Southampton, had we gone out, obviously people would have been like, you've gone out to Southampton, but look at the team we put out. We put players out there who've never played together. We put teenagers in the lineup. We put lads who've returning from injury and whatever. It was one of them. It was more of a free hit than you probably ever get in a season. Or as you say, the job was done on the night, and a couple of stellar performances from Endo, especially, given he was asked to play in his not his usual position. That was a really solid performance from him. And, we've knocked him on podcasts in the past, and, he's got his limitations, but he's also got some qualities. And I think that really suited him in terms of, all the game was in front of him. He could see everything. He didn't really have to do too much going back the other way. So it really helped his qualities, and the fact that, they didn't really overly have a dominant front two or attack to sort of really bother him. It was one that we could really use him in, and as you say, other minutes for players that were useful. And then, as you say, the draw was kind enough not only to give us Spurs. I always had the feeling that the draw would be set up that us and Arsenal would be separated in one way or another, because, you sort of had that inkling that, the Carabao Cup is not prestigious for anybody until you get to the final and you win it. But the organisers would like a glamour final. So you think of, a couple of years gone by where we've had Chelsea in the final, and you think, it's the glamour names. They would prefer to see Liverpool, Arsenal in the final than Tottenham and Spurs, like Tottenham and Newcastle. But that's the way it is, and the fact obviously the draw has been kind enough to give us the second leg at Anfield basically allows us to go to that stadium that we've just been to at the weekend. And if we can do that with our first team, who's to say that we can't make a few changes like we have done in the Carabao and go there and get a good enough result that we can bring it back to Anfield. And should we need to, we know we can wipe the floor with them. when I think there's the first game is the second midweek in January, and then there's also 3 or 4 week gap until the first week in February when we play them again. So,
it's a week after New Year's Day, the game at their place, and then
yeah. So there's time, and I think they're in and around the FA Cup, if I remember rightly. I think it's between the FA Cup game and a League Cup game, possibly a league game against United. The first leg, and then I think the second leg is somewhere around a league game with Bournemouth, and a fourth round tie in the FA Cup should we progress. And given our opponents in the FA Cup at Accrington, you'd like to think, with all due respect to Accrington Stanley,
that's mad, that, by the way, that draw, isn't
it? Yeah. We should do the business there with a rotated team, and it allows us, should the draw be nice to us again in the FA Cup fourth round, the ability to chop and change. And if we want to put a stronger team out, we've got the ability to do it. However, if we want to, make a few changes, we've seen the quality in the squad is there. And we're only, I think, as far as we know, we're only Kanate and Bradley away from a fully fit squad. If the gods are nice to us, they'll be back fit in January, and even the gods are even nicer, that we might even see a new face in January. But let's not hope for too much. Even if our Christmas list has got 3 big contracts on it, if we're really pushing our luck and asking for another player in January, then that might be asking a bit too much. But if it comes, we'll certainly take it.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, this is the thing that you sort of. I mean, we'll get onto it. I gave them the summer, new people, new manager, knew everyone basically. So everyone was new. I hadn't even got the password sorted for getting logged onto the scouting system, sort of thing. Give them a chance, give them the summer, let them off. And my God, we've got to Christmas, not feeling like that much that we've needed to bring new players in. But I think we will definitely have to do something about it, because there's a certain amount of good fortune in that as well. I've especially thought yesterday, because there was that moment where Virgil went down. I think he'd been trodden on, and I'm thinking, God, if he goes, it's bad enough thinking of coping without Virgil anyway, as we've had to try and do in the past. But at the moment, he kind of does 2 jobs, doesn't he? And that's not going to go at Gomez. It's just how much Virgil does. And Gomez actually has been playing out of his skin. Mad to think he was going to leave at the start of the season. We'll see. Just on those fixtures, yeah, we have got. First of all, the biggest surprise to me was, I had to keep checking, was that we have actually got a week off between games. So we play on the 29th, West Ham away, and then we play the Manx at home on the 5th of Jan. That's like Sunday to Sunday. That's no games in between, which I was still feeling like I've missed something somewhere. Sometimes when you look at the fixtures, you're only getting the Premier League or something, and then you realise, there's a League Cup game. But no, nothing. But then, yeah, EFL Cup a few days after we played the Manx. That's the first game against Spurs. Then Accrington on the Saturday, or whatever, on the weekend, the 11th, and Forest on the 14th, Forest away on the 14th, Brentford away on the 18th. And then it's back to the Champions League on the 21st of Jan. So it's a busy time, but I'm still stunned we've got a week off. Doesn't normally happen. I mean, 4 days off between the Spurs game and the next one felt like almost it was our winter break, and they aren't officially having one this season. Just going back to yesterday, as we record it, Sunday's game against Tottenham. I mean, that was, I don't know, it was like such a contrast for Robertson as well. We seen, I know certainly on Raw we were critical of both fullbacks, but there's been times this season when Andy Robbo was just not being Andy Robbo of old, even close to it. He's been a complete shadow of his old self. I don't think it's helped that he's had to play more games than maybe he would have done. He's had more minutes than maybe he would have done. He's definitely, obviously, getting older and all the rest of it. But I can't really fault him that much for how we played on Sunday. If anything, if there was any issue I'd have with Andy Robbo on Sunday, is that if Costas is on the bench and half fit, maybe we should have brought Robbo off after 75, maybe give him a bit of a rest. But he kept going.
Yeah, I think it's mad to say, like, the lad's still 30. He's 31 in March, and he's finished. But when you think of the miles on the clock, especially like the amount of work and energy and distance he's got through in just his Liverpool career alone, you know, up and down that left-hand side is phenomenal. I don't think there'll be many other players during the same sort of tenureship that he's had that have probably covered, you know, as much distance as he has. And it's the pace that he does that, you know, it is relentless. So there inevitably will be, you know, a drop off at some point. And I don't know, I remember listening to Raw from yesterday, and yourself, Dave, and Trev were having the chat about, like, you know, players' peaks all come at different times. You know, it used to be the, you know, 25 to 29 was when a player peaked. And when you probably think of Robbo, it was probably a bit earlier. It's probably like 23 to 27.
Yeah.
28. That was when we've probably seen the best of Andy Robertson, and that's what we got out of him. And, you know, no knock on him as a player, as we all know, you know, if he's managed correctly and the games are right for him, we're still getting a top quality performance out of him. But when he's asked to do it week in, week out, 3 days in, three or 4 days apart from each game, you know, it starts to become a bit lax. And I think, you know, the fact, obviously, the situation happened with Fulham, he didn't play against Southampton. He was probably, you know, fully charged in terms of his battery level for yesterday. And as you say, there was not much wrong with his performance yesterday. You know, when you think of, I think maybe it was the 4th or 5th goal when he nicked the ball back and we broke away and we scored. And,
yeah,
you know, he was one of the players basically on the edge of the box ready to tap it in. If it fell, he probably wouldn't, because, you know, Andy Robertson can't finish dinner. But, you know, the opportunity was there should it have arisen to. But I think as we look at the fixture list, as you mentioned there, I think, you know, Costas was available. We've seen him on Wednesday gone against Southampton for half hour, 45 minutes, was it?
Yeah.
I think he'll probably get the Leicester game at home on Boxing Day, and that would allow Robertson, you know, a full week of recovery. Or, you know, Costas gets 65, 70 minutes, and, you know, that aids his sort of come back to full fitness, and then Robertson gets the last 20, you know, so he's still getting a little bit of, you know, movement in his legs through the Boxing Day game, but, you know, we're not taxing him too much. And then, you know, he goes again for West Ham. And I'm more than happy in the fact that we know we need an upgrade in that position. It's no secret, you know, we are actively seeking an upgrade. You know, the amount of players we're linked to in that area of the pitch, and, you know, no knock on the two lads, they're very much serviceable, but we would look for a younger, fresher model that can do what they've done for a longer period of time than what we're probably going to get out of these two. But if we use them correctly, if we can keep them fit, and, you know, it's game in, game out, or 2 in, 1 out sort of thing, and we manage them correctly, you know, you look at what we've got out of Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo from the left-hand side this season. You know, Diaz yesterday obviously went down the middle a bit more, but in the main, they've job shared the left wing position. Combined, you know, they're knocking up numbers that Mo Salah's knocking up on his own on the right-hand side. And, you know, you think that just shows how good Mo Salah is. But at the same time, we're still getting that output from the other side of the pitch. So whoever we do put in that starting position, you know, opposition coaches and teams have got to look at it and go, well, okay, they've got Mo Salah on the right, but they've got another fella on the left-hand side who is, you know, just as dangerous and, you know, could easily harm us just as much as Mo Salah can. And that dual threat then really puts, you know, a lot of questions and thoughts into coaches and teams' minds of how they manage us, how they set up against us. So if we can do it with the left-back position and use them 2 players, and, you know, instead of getting, you know, a 6 out of 10, a 5 out of 10, and maybe a 7 out of 10 out of Andy Robertson, you know, you're getting 7 out of 10s week in, week out from Robertson and Costas in rotation.
Yeah.
That's the ideal, obviously, you know, fitness dependence and all that. But if we can do that to the end of the season, I think, you know, everyone will be more than happy with what we get, because they both bring qualities. It's just about, you know, keeping them fresh and available to deliver them qualities on a game-by-game basis.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, The production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
An O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card is the perfect gift for that hard-to-buy-for person. Give the gift of convenience from O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.